Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Thank you very much to Marius, Lori, and Bruce for doing an excellent job on moderating those last three sessions. I'm back for one more, and then we've got my good friend EJ moderating a session, and then we're going to wrap up for today. But this session, I really wanted to moderate and host this one because what would a AI summit about travel be without talking about airlines? And we've specifically organized this session, how AI will transform the air travel journey by focusing on the consumer. And all three of these companies that you're about to meet and get to know more about, not only their business, but how they're leveraging AI, you'll also quickly understand there's a very common theme, and that is that they're putting the consumer first. And that is what we've been heavily talking about with democratizing access to information and technology, and really looking at startups challenging many of the incumbents, as the theme was certainly the focus in technology this morning. So let me introduce them to you. Keeping up with the global theme, we have Sara Pavan. She's a strategic partnership lead at AirHelp, and she's based in Madrid. Welcome, Sara. Great to have you here.
Thank you very much, Dan. Hi, everyone.
And then we have Dan Gellert, who's based in New York. He's the COO of Skiplagged. Welcome, Dan.
Hey, everybody. Great to be here.
And then also in New York, we've got John Taylor Garner, who's the CEO and co-founder of Odynn. Welcome, John.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Awesome. So let's give everyone a good understanding of your companies first. I think that's really important to then get into the conversation about how you're leveraging AI. So Sara, let's start with you. Would you mind giving everyone an overview of what AirHelp is?
Sure. I'm honored to open the floor. So AirHelp is basically a technology company tackling the problem of travel disruption. Our core business is the optimization of claim processing and customer support during flight delays and cancellation. But at large, we connect with an ecosystem of players to provide relevant and contextualized services to improve the traveler experience during disruption. We work with travelers directly through our web applications or indirectly through airlines and travel agency, providing them with the extra care pre or post flights when things do not go as planned. We serve over 193 countries, so we are. I'm proud to say we are a global company, and today we have helped over 2.2 million passengers get the compensation that they're rightfully due. We partner with airlines and travel agencies, and hopefully improving this piece of the experience that is yet to be cracked.
That's excellent. No, great to have you here. And those numbers, meaningful. I mean, 2.2 million customers, and especially for a business that many people might not have heard of, but I'm sure everyone's familiar with the pain and frustration of losing a bag or having issues on their journey. And so we'll get into that in a moment with some of the efforts that you're utilizing with AI. But great to have you here. And then Dan, I see Skiplagged in the news all the time. I'm thrilled to have you here. And so I love the business. I love the concept. But why don't you give, for the uninitiated that aren't familiar with the term Skiplagged, which is your business name, what that is and what your company does?
Absolutely. So, Skiplagged's been around since 2013. And we are fundamentally a consumer-first online travel company. What I mean by that is that while we look like other B2C online travel sites, we're fundamentally different in that we exist not to help the airlines sell tickets or help hotels sell rooms, but rather to help consumers save money. We work hard to find unique itineraries that you can't find on any of the other OTAs or travel meta search sites. One of the ways, and Dan, as you were kind of just describing, and probably our best known feature is around identifying flights where you can skip leg. And so for those who aren't familiar, skip legging is the practice of using a layover city as a traveler's final destination, and in the process, saving yourself hundreds of dollars. So for example, if you're looking to go to Las Vegas to Charlotte, all of those direct or indirect flights might be $700. But there also may be a Las Vegas to Atlanta flight with a layover in Charlotte for $300. For the traveler, where money is a big consideration, they travel lightly, buy that ticket from Las Vegas to Atlanta, get to Charlotte, and then they get out of the airport, and the main thing that happens is they save themselves $400 instead of putting it in the airline's pocket.
There you go. So there's $400 there, and Robin Harnish, who's an old friend who's joining the session from Viator days. She just called out Sara for the AirHelp. I guess you got them a refund of $400 for a flight delay. So there you go. Now the pressure's on you, John, for saving people money. Your platform is Odynn, and you're actually in the loyalty space. So
Yes.
tell everyone a bit more about what you've created.
Yeah, so we are a loyalty optimization platform. We leverage AI and ML to make the optimal redemption for the end user, be it the customer. That optimal redemption is not necessarily always points and miles. Points and miles tend to be optimal about 25 to 30% of the time, but that means cash is optimal, about 75% of the time as well. And what we're doing is we're taking all of the relevant personal information, not personal identifiable, we don't want that, but what credit cards are in your wallet, the types of cards, not the numbers, your allowances, your status, what airports you like to fly in and out of, what your spouse, if you have one, does as well. We take all that information in to personalize the recommendation for you to get the biggest bang for your buck, be it from a hotel a hotel loyalty platform, a airline loyalty platform, or a banking platform. We tell you how you're buying your points and miles to book that trip, which could save you $400 potentially, or even more if you're going on it entirely for free. So this is all on an individual by individual basis that we calculate this.
Got it. Cool. Thank you for that. So each of you have unique and interesting business models, and you're now leveraging AI to be able to scale them. So I want to go back in that order and just get a clear understanding for the people that are listening to this to understand how you're leveraging AI. So AirHelp, of course, Sara, I know you guys are a technology company. What are the ways you're leveraging that AI to tackle the problem of travel disruption?
So actually, you made a very good point, because a lot of people ask us, are you an insurance company? Are you a law firm company? And no, we said we are a technology company, because indeed the core of our business is based on technology. And we use AI and automations as really important components of what we do. We use them to process claims on all stages of the process, from the eligibility assessment to validation to processing to document collections, and ultimately as well to the response that we offer to customers. So we have developed different bots to improve the overall flight compensation experience that help us remove bottlenecks and repetitive tasks of the claim handling process. And in some cases, they support our legal team to analyze each claim based on jurisdiction-specific clause, general airport situations, air traffic control information, flight and delay data, and many more data sources. And at different stages, those bots are also trained to interact directly with passengers to, for instance, request information when something is not clear or a missing document as necessary. And they guide users through the next steps, essentially like any of our skilled customer support people would do, right? And which means that our team can then take the time to actually focus and work on more complicated cases. And so for us, overall, like AI automation is really important, and we consider it as an enabler of the quality and speed of service delivery at larger scale. So because it helps us to process more efficiently and effectively a growing amount of data without necessarily increasing our operating costs, right? Which means at the end of the day, more travelers served, more compensations, more automations for airlines and for the travel agencies that are joining us on this process.
That's fantastic. Really interesting. And Dan, when it comes to the work that you're doing with Skiplagged, and we just had a previous session, and Kira from Thomas highlighted the increased conversion rates with using the chat. And also, there's a recent headline that some people would have seen about the airline that offered a refund policy and had to adhere to it. The chatbot created one. That was, of course, Air Canada, my favorite airline. But what are you using AI for? I know you guys are very focused on engineering. So I imagine most of it is on the back end. But how are you leveraging it with customer service? What are the areas you're focused on leveraging AI?
Yeah, we've started our journey on AI or with AI, particularly on the back end, focusing in a couple different areas. So certainly on the engineering side, the customer service side is another huge avenue. And then finally on itinerary identification, again, we're working hard to find unique itineraries that are available entirely to Skiplagged users. That is the type of thing that works really well with AI. And so in each of those areas, we've started to see some real momentum, some efficiency, some improvements in productivity. And we're off to a really good start. I think over the next 12 months, we'll see another step function change in those areas. And then I think also during that next 12 months, and we're going to talk more about this, I think in the next few questions, we expect the use cases to expand, really a lot more consumer facing use cases. And we're working through those now and excited to start rolling those out to our users.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Dan. And yeah, let's just go back. I think that you covered a fair bit of this already, John, in your introduction about Odynn, but is there any other specific area? Machine learning obviously was a core component of it for loyalty programs, but any other areas you wanted to call out that you're utilizing AI?
Yeah, so we use it in three key areas. The first is actually on the data aggregation side. So as many people watching this probably do know, there is no system that you can go pull in and get loyalty pricing. There's no GDS for loyalty pricing. So we had to build our own. That relies on NLP, natural language processing data aggregation, as well as reverse engineering APIs. NLP is obviously a form of AI. So we use that at a very fundamental level there. We also use that on the personalized recommendations, which I mentioned on the machine learning side for individual users. But then we are also able to aggregate all this information, the pricing, the recommendations, the search, and the booking flow into a generative AI chatbot. So we also have plugged that in. So we have full live pricing, not just for cash, but for points and miles for every major airline and hotel program in a Gen AI chatbot that can be plugged into any existing company's system. And we'll be launching that ourselves, consumer facing, in the next 6 months or so. But we leverage AI throughout the entire process of our operations.
Cool. That's great. Thank you for that. Now, everyone attending this is in the travel industry, and anyone who travels, of course, has to typically take a plane to get somewhere. Not always, but most often. What I wanted to ask you guys next was actually about the experience for guests traveling, for passengers. How the experience will evolve in 2024 with AI. And that's certainly the theme of the conference, especially as we're talking about customer service and guest experience. I would love for you to be able to highlight for everyone listening to this, where you think the passenger experience can improve, and what will be the biggest benefits. Because I'm sure a lot of people are trying to figure out the work is happening on the back end, but now this is the year where we're going to start to see so many dramatic changes for the consumer experience. So Sara, let's go back to AirHelp and talk about some of the things that you're seeing happening for air passengers this year.
Yes, so I mean, we have in all the sessions that we've listened this afternoon, even if they were not really focused, all of them in customer experience, but we can really see that there's a great deal of opportunities, right? And some of them more mature. I think we talked a lot about data before, and one of the areas where I believe AI will play a pivotal role that will also reflect in the customer experience is in breaking down silos and facilitating data sharing among travel providers to improve personalizations. I mean, you all guys have been in the travel industry for a long time, so I'm sure you have heard the idea of sharing data to improve personalization before. Is definitely nothing new, but this has been pushed for many years by the industry because and not much has happened because there were a lot of concerns on who owns the customers, what data can we share, what data should we share, and with whom, and with why, etc., etc. And I believe that AI will be able to remove some of those concerns. Maybe they will generate new concerns, but remove some of them and really help thanks to have a new AI-powered data anonymization technique or federated learning or AI-based data sharing platform that will really provide more secure environments for travel providers to exchange data and insight. And this will help the industry obviously focus more on value-driven collaboration initiatives that prioritize mutual benefits and truly enhance, I would say, the overall customer experience without really compromising the competitive advantage of each stakeholder. And maybe let me just give you an example into the travel disruption context of this. So just think about the scenario of when you are standing at the luggage delivery belt, waiting for your bag to arrive. You are tired because probably you woke up early, you traveled for the whole day, many hours, and at this point you're just waiting to go home or to go to your hotel. And you stay there, you stand, and you realize that your bag is not coming and it got lost. And you go to the office counter, to the information counters, and no one really able to tell you where your bag is. And so if AI could facilitate a secure and meaningful data sharing and better coordinations between airlines, airports, ground handling companies to speed up backtracking, they would also help understand the reason of the mishandling and therefore also proactively offer services from companies like ours to expedite the resolution process and mitigate the inconvenience for travelers. So I see a lot of value to be generated here, and I hope that will be the direction that we will take.
That's an awesome example. What are your thoughts, Dan? What's happening in the near term?
Yeah, so I think there's two opportunities that I really have my eye on. One even more near term, and the second is a huge opportunity, but probably not in 2024. But on the first side, a little bit higher funnel, specifically around personalization through destination selection. So, leveraging a knowledge graph combined with AI to better understand how destinations relate to each other, that really will open up the world to a lot of people. The idea that we still go to a site and say, okay, where do you want to go? Enter your to and you're from. That's a very antiquated approach. And so, as we think about personalization, really AI combined with the right models underneath it can deliver a much better experience that can start to orient people around secondary, tertiary destinations that can be really killer and exciting. And that will fundamentally change how people travel. So that's certainly exciting. And then the second one, slightly longer term, but we've all been through this. The average person does 56 flight searches before they buy a ticket. That should absolutely be a thing of the past. You should basically enter your general criteria. And then I envision a world where there's basically supply bots and demand bots that are talking to each other, and almost like a stock market. And eventually, you put in a market price or a market limit, and you're saying, okay, I want this destination, I want this itinerary, I want this holistic journey for X price. And then it's up to the bots to kind of figure it out. Again, not a 2024 thing, but I absolutely believe that the idea that a user is doing more than 5 to 10 searches to be a completely antiquated approach and a thing of the past by 2025.
That's awesome. Thank you, Dan and Sara. I'm going to ask you a slightly different question, John, because I think both of you guys, both Sara and Dan, you've got a great depth in your category, and your businesses are at a different stage in the journey. Whereas John, what I was most impressed when I met with him and Anuj, his CTO, the two of them gave me a demo, and I was really impressed with the platform that they've built, and they're still scaling their business. So the question I'd actually like to ask you, John, is what excites you most about what you're building and where this is headed that gives you some of the advantages of leveraging a new startup and AI?
Definitely. I mean, Sara and Dan touched on the hyper-personalization. The hyper-personalization goes to the individual user from a loyalty standpoint too. So there's the ability to target special offers. So you can have your own mileage run to earn elite status, or get bonus points and miles, or tied to your credit card spend, because credit cards are now being intertwined in loyalty and travel these days. But also it's the cross-pollination. So you see Delta and Marriott have partnerships, and Hyatt and American does, right? Lyft and Uber are starting to get involved. So all these different loyalty programs are starting to harvest this user level data that Sara was talking about, right? To hyper target specific individuals to deliver more value for them, where they can ultimately extract more revenue out of you, right? That's ultimately what they're trying to do. But it does benefit the consumer, right? You're getting more perks, you're getting a better travel experience, and hopefully you come back and do it again. And so we're able to leverage all that information and also drive the users down the path that is objectively better for them, not necessarily what's going to make more revenue for the airlines, hotels, or banks, right? But will be the best experience, give you the most value as a customer, right? And so that's what we're able to focus in on for the users based on how our users are using our platform. We continue to evolve and enhance it based on their needs. And I really hope other companies, and I believe there are working towards this end, not necessarily just to drive revenue for the big players.
Yeah, very interesting. A very good point. And I know we thought the time would go quickly, and sure enough, it has. But I want to give you guys each one last word if we want to find out more about you and follow up. So, Sara, I'll let you go first.
Yes, look, we are here help and here to help anyone from travelers, but also travel providers. And we are really committed in helping the industry to be a lot more proactive and a lot more efficient when it comes to take care of travelers when things go wrong. And because essentially things will go wrong, unfortunately, despite all the efforts that we're making. And we're all here to work together to improve those moments. So get in contact with me, and I'm happy also to share ideas.
Thank you, Sara. And Dan?
Yeah, for me, I'll leave with what I'm thinking about most, which is if AI serves as a disruptive innovation for Google, specifically within travel, Google has been the player that has been the most important platform for distribution for large travel companies for the past, obviously, about 20 years. If that changes, what are the second order effects of that? And I think historically, distribution has trumped product like 100% within travel. And I think there are opportunities, if that changes, to really upend that idea, and product can really come first and foremost as the distribution landscape, potentially goes up in the air. So I'm super excited, nervous, but excited to watch where it goes.
That's awesome. Great insights. Thank you, Dan. And round it out with you, John.
Yeah, I mean, just to build on Dan's, it's not really pie in the sky. This is probably 2025, 2026, the exchange, right? The two bots pricing against each other. There will also be the liquidity and points and miles will be coming into play, where it's not just the user spending dollars to book this flight or hotel stay, right? They can spend their own points and miles, be it from a bank or from an individual airline loyalty programs. I'm looking forward to that day where there is true liquidity and transparency in the space, and that's what we're trying to help push along and achieve ourselves here. But yes, as you said, if anyone wants to connect, please feel free to connect on LinkedIn, or you can find us at odynn.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate all the insights. Wish you all the best success this year. We'll keep in touch. Thanks, Sara. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan.
Bye-bye. Have a good rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Thanks.